In a quiet town, people started to feel something was wrong. It was a sunny morning and the sky was bright blue, but there was a strange heaviness in the air. As children played outside, adults began to notice they were breathing harder. Something was off. Sarah, a teacher, stepped outside her house, took a deep breath, and coughed. She glanced at her neighbor, Mr. Thompson, who was clutching his chest and looking pale. "Are you all right, Mr. Thompson?" she asked, worried. "I don't know," he replied, gasping. "It feels like there's not enough air." Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. In cities and small towns, people struggled to breathe. Hospitals quickly filled with patients complaining of shortness of breath and dizziness. Doctors and nurses were baffled. They had never seen anything like this before. What was happening? In a bustling research lab, scientists were hard at work trying to find answers. Dr. Chen, a leading scientist, gathered her team. "We need to figure out what is causing this crisis," she said, her voice steady despite her worry. The team quickly analyzed air samples and ran tests, but the results were shocking. The readings showed that oxygen levels were plummeting. Dr. Chen's heart raced. "This is serious," she said. "We are losing oxygen at an alarming rate." She realized they had to act fast. The news spread like wildfire, and soon everyone was glued to their screens watching the reports. As news anchors shared updates, panic spread. The government held emergency meetings, and experts were called in. People learned that they were not just facing a natural disaster, it was a deliberate act. An alien race, the Zelthari, was stealing Earth's oxygen to save their own dying planet. They needed Earth's oxygen to survive, and they would stop at nothing to get it. In every home, fear turned into anger. How could aliens do this to them? Families gathered together to talk about what was happening. Young kids watched their parents with wide eyes, confused and scared. "Are we going to be okay?" asked little Emma, her voice trembling. Her mother hugged her tightly, trying to calm her fears. "We will find a way to fight back, sweetheart." Across the globe, leaders realized they had to unite. In a grand building filled with flags from many countries, world leaders met to discuss the crisis. They understood the seriousness of the situation. If they didn't act, their planet could become uninhabitable. "Humans have faced great challenges before," a leader from a small country said. "But we have always found a way to survive. We must work together." Nations began to set aside their differences. They formed alliances, pooling resources and sharing information. The message was clear. They needed to fight for their home. Ordinary citizens joined the cause, protesting and demanding action. People marched in the streets chanting, "Save our air! Save our planet!" In the days that followed, scientists raced against time. They developed new technology and weapons to confront the alien threat. Hope flickered in the hearts of people everywhere as they heard about the progress being made. They believed that humanity could overcome this challenge, just as they had in the past. As the world faced this unprecedented crisis, the resolve of humanity grew stronger. They were determined to take back what was stolen from them. Earth's people were not just fighting for oxygen, they were fighting for their future, their children, and the very essence of life itself. The atmosphere was charged with energy and expectation as they prepared for the battle ahead. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. The fight for their planet would soon unfold in ways they could never imagine, and humanity would rise to meet the challenge with courage and strength. The stage was set for a battle that would change everything. The crisis had awakened a sleeping giant, and soon the aliens would learn that humans were not to be underestimated. They were ready to reclaim their world. As news of the oxygen crisis spread, fear and confusion turned into determination. People around the world began to realize they could not sit idly by while their planet was threatened. Across cities and towns, they gathered in parks, community centers, and public squares. The message was clear: humanity would stand together to face this challenge. In a bustling city, Sarah, the teacher from the quiet town, found herself at a rally with her friends and neighbors. They stood in front of a giant banner that read, "Save our air. Fight back!" The crowd was loud and passionate, filled with people of all ages, waving flags and chanting for action. Sarah felt a spark of hope as she looked around. Everyone was united for a common cause. "We need to take action!" shouted a local leader from the stage. "We cannot let the Zelthari take our air and destroy our home. Together we can make a difference." The crowd erupted in cheers. Sarah's heart raced. She had never felt such a strong sense of community before. People from different backgrounds and beliefs were coming together, all motivated by the same goal. This crisis was changing everything. Meanwhile, in the government's headquarters, leaders from various countries gathered for an emergency summit. They knew they had to form a united front. The room buzzed with urgency as representatives discussed their strategies. "We must share our technology and resources," a military leader proposed. "We can't afford to work alone. The Zelthari are powerful and we need to be ready." Another leader nodded in agreement. "We should also reach out to our citizens. They need to know we are fighting for them. Their support is crucial." As the discussions continued, a plan began to take shape. Nations would pool their military strength and share intelligence. They would create a joint task force, combining their knowledge and technology to counter the alien threat. It was a bold move, one that had not happened in many years. Back at the rally, Sarah's friend Mark stood up to speak. "We can't just wait for the government to act. We need to do our part too." His words inspired the crowd. "Let's organize a movement. We can raise funds to support research and help our scientists." People cheered, feeling energized by Mark's enthusiasm. They quickly formed groups to brainstorm ideas and take action. Some decided to start a fundraising campaign to support the development of new technology, while others planned peaceful protests to raise awareness about the situation. Social media played a big role in their efforts. Videos and posts about the crisis went viral, spreading the word far and wide. The hashtag Silber auf Humans Stand Together began trending. People shared stories of how the crisis had affected their lives, bringing more attention to the urgent need for action. Schools across the globe joined the movement. Students learned about the importance of oxygen and the impact of pollution. They organized cleanup days and educational programs, inspiring their families to get involved. Children became little activists, showing that everyone, no matter their age, could make a difference. As days turned into weeks, the unity among people grew stronger. Neighborhoods organized community meetings discussing how to prepare for the fight against the Zelthari. Ideas flowed and hope filled the air. They knew they were stronger together. On the scientific front, researchers and engineers from different countries collaborated on new technologies. They worked day and night, determined to create weapons and tools to help reclaim their air. It was a race against time, but their spirits remained high. They were driven by the knowledge that they were fighting for their families, their homes, and their planet. As the world united, the Zelthari began to notice the changes. They saw humans coming together in ways they had never expected. The aliens had underestimated Earth's people, thinking they would crumble under pressure. But humanity was proving them wrong. With each passing day, the energy and determination of people everywhere grew stronger. They were ready to confront the alien threat. The unity they had forged would become their greatest strength in the battle ahead. Together, they were more than just individuals. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they would stop at nothing to protect their home. The fight for Earth had begun, and they were prepared to face whatever came their way. As the oxygen crisis worsened, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to create a powerful weapon for humanity's defense. In secret labs around the world, they designed a fleet of dreadnoughts, massive ships built for battle. These ships would be humanity's last line of defense against the Zelthari. In a high-tech facility, Dr. Chen, the lead scientist, stood in front of her team. The room was filled with blueprints, computer screens, and models of the dreadnoughts. "We have to move quickly," she said, her eyes shining with determination. "The Zelthari will not wait for us to be ready. We need these ships to protect our planet." The engineers nodded, their fingers flying over keyboards as they made calculations and adjustments. They worked day and night, fueled by coffee and the hope of saving Earth. They knew the dreadnoughts had to be fast, powerful, and equipped with the latest technology. News of the Dreadnought project spread, and excitement built in the hearts of people everywhere. Schools and community centers organized fundraisers to support the effort, raising money to help build the fleet. Children drew pictures of the ships, dreaming of flying among the stars. In a massive hangar, the first dreadnought began to take shape. It was an enormous ship, over 500 feet long, with sleek lines and a shiny silver exterior. As the engineers installed weapons and technology, they felt a sense of pride. This was not just a ship, it was a symbol of hope. One evening, Sarah and her friends visited the hangar for a special event. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as people gathered to witness the unveiling of the first Dreadnought. Mark stood beside Sarah, his eyes wide with wonder. "I can't believe we're actually doing this," he said, his voice filled with awe. Dr. Chen stepped onto a platform, her voice echoing through the hangar. "Today marks a turning point for humanity. We are not just defending our planet, we are showing the Zelthari that we will not back down. This Dreadnought is a testament to our unity and strength." The crowd erupted in applause. As the giant doors of the hangar opened, the first Dreadnought was revealed in all its glory. Its sleek shape glimmered under the lights, and everyone gasped at its size and power. People cheered and waved flags, feeling a rush of pride and excitement. The Dreadnought was equipped with cutting-edge technology, including advanced targeting systems and shields to protect against enemy fire. It also carried a squad of smaller fighter ships that could launch into battle quickly. The crew was made up of brave men and women from all over the world, united by a common goal to protect their home. In the weeks that followed, more Dreadnoughts were built. The world watched in awe as the fleet expanded, each ship becoming a symbol of hope for humanity. Dr. Chen and her team continued to work hard, improving the design and adding new features. Meanwhile, training for the crew began. Young pilots and seasoned veterans prepared for the upcoming battle. They practiced maneuvers, learned how to operate the ships, and studied tactics to outsmart the Zelthari. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. In the command center, Commander Lewis, a respected military leader, prepared to lead the fleet into battle. He gathered his team and shared his vision. "We are the protectors of Earth. Our mission is clear. We will take back what the Zelthari stole from us. We will fight with everything we have." As training progressed, the camaraderie among the crew grew stronger. They shared stories, laughter, and even tears. They knew they were facing a dangerous enemy, but together, they felt invincible. Finally, the day arrived when the Dreadnought fleet was ready for its first mission. The ships lined up, gleaming in the sunlight, ready to take off. The atmosphere was charged with excitement and determination. Families gathered at the launch site to send off their loved ones, their faces filled with pride and hope. Commander Lewis stood on the bridge of the lead Dreadnought, gazing at the fleet. "Today, we show the Zelthari that humanity is not weak. We will reclaim our air, our planet, and our future." As the countdown began, the crew felt a wave of adrenaline. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead, united as one. The Dreadnought fleet was born, and with it, the spirit of humanity soared high. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and they were prepared to fight with all their strength. The day had finally arrived. The Dreadnought fleet, a powerful armada of humanity's best ships, stood ready to face the Zelthari. Commander Lewis watched from the bridge of the lead Dreadnought, the Valiant, as his crew prepared for the battle ahead. The tension in the air was palpable, and everyone knew what was at stake. "Today we fight for our air and our planet," Commander Lewis said, his voice steady and strong. "Remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We fight for every person on Earth." His words echoed in the hearts of the crew, filling them with courage. As the fleet launched into space, bright engines lit up against the darkness. The vastness of the cosmos surrounded them, and the crew felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were leaving Earth behind, heading into the unknown to confront their alien adversaries. Meanwhile, in the command center of the Zelthari mothership, the aliens were preparing for battle. Their advanced technology was impressive, and they were ready to crush what they saw as a small, insignificant force. They believed humanity would be an easy target. But the Zelthari did not understand the strength and spirit of the human race. The Dreadnoughts reached the designated battle zone, a region of space where the stars twinkled like diamonds. Commander Lewis gathered his crew for one last briefing. "Stay focused and work together. We have trained for this moment. Trust in your skills, and we will succeed." The fleet moved into formation, with the Valiant leading the way. Suddenly, alarms blared as a massive fleet of Zelthari ships appeared on the radar. They were huge, dark vessels bristling with weapons. The aliens were ready for them, and the battle was about to begin. "Prepare for battle!" Lewis shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. The crew sprang into action, manning their stations and readying the Dreadnought's weapons. They aimed their powerful lasers and missile launchers at the incoming enemy ships. The first shots were fired, and the battle erupted. Bright beams of energy shot across space, illuminating the darkness. The Dreadnoughts unleashed a barrage of fire, striking the Zelthari ships with precision. Explosions lit up the starry sky, sending debris spinning into the void. The Zelthari responded quickly, their ships returning fire. The Valiant shook as it took hits, alarms blaring. "Shield status!" Lewis demanded, gripping the control panel tightly. "Shields at 70%!" a crew member shouted, trying to maintain composure amid the chaos. "Reinforce them! Keep our defenses strong!" Lewis ordered. The crew worked together like a well-oiled machine, following his commands and focusing on their tasks. As the battle raged on, smaller fighter ships launched from the Dreadnoughts, darting into the fray. Pilots maneuvered skillfully, dodging enemy fire while launching their own attacks. Mark, a young pilot on the Valor, fought with determination. He had trained hard for this moment, and he was ready to show the Zelthari what humanity could do. "Locking onto the target!" Mark shouted as he fired missiles at an approaching Zelthari ship. The missiles hit their mark, and the enemy vessel exploded in a brilliant flash. Mark cheered, feeling a surge of confidence. But the battle was far from over. The Zelthari were relentless, and more ships continued to emerge from their mothership. Commander Lewis saw the tide beginning to shift. "We need to regroup. Pull back and re-strategize," he commanded. As the Dreadnoughts maneuvered to create a defensive formation, the crew quickly communicated, adjusting their tactics. They would have to use their numbers and training to their advantage. Lewis focused on the command screen, analyzing the enemy movements. "Target their mothership," he yelled. "If we can take that down, we can disrupt their forces." With renewed energy, the Dreadnoughts aimed their powerful cannons at the Zelthari mothership. The ships fired in unison, and bright beams of energy surged through space, striking the massive vessel. The Zelthari ship shuddered under the assault, and sparks flew from its hull. The crew of the Valiant cheered as the enemy ship began to falter. But the Zelthari weren't finished yet. They unleashed a wave of fire, and the Dreadnoughts braced for impact. "Hold steady!" Lewis shouted, his heart racing. The crew gritted their teeth as the ship shook violently from the enemy's fire. Just when things seemed darkest, reinforcements arrived. More Dreadnoughts from Earth's allies entered the battle, joining the fight against the Zelthari. Their combined forces pushed back, and the tide began to turn. With determination burning in their hearts, the crew of the Valiant pressed on. They fought not just for survival, but for the future of humanity. The battle in the stars raged on, a clash of wills and strength, with each side fighting for what they believed in. In that moment, they knew they were more than just soldiers. They were defenders of their home, united in the face of an overwhelming challenge. The fight for Earth was far from over, but with every passing moment, humanity proved they would not back down. The battle was fierce, but the tide had turned in humanity's favor. The combined strength of the Dreadnought fleet and their allies overwhelmed the Zelthari forces. Commander Lewis stood on the bridge of the Valiant, watching as enemy ships fell one by one. Each explosion was a victory, and hope surged in the hearts of the crew. "Keep pushing forward," Lewis shouted, his voice echoing through the command center. "We can end this fight once and for all." With renewed energy, the crew of the Valiant coordinated their attacks. The Dreadnoughts unleashed a storm of lasers and missiles, targeting the remaining Zelthari ships. Mark, the young pilot, expertly maneuvered his fighter, dodging enemy fire as he pressed the attack. Each shot felt like a punch against the alien threat. As the Zelthari mothership took more damage, it began to lose control. The crew could see the chaos unfolding on the massive vessel. "Direct hit on their shields," one crew member announced. "They're weakening." "Now's our chance," Lewis replied, excitement in his voice. "Focus all fire on that mothership." The Dreadnoughts aimed their weapons, and with a deafening roar, they unleashed their firepower. Bright beams of energy shot across the stars, striking the Zelthari mothership in a series of brilliant explosions. The alien ship shuddered, and for a moment, it seemed as though time stood still. Then, with one final explosion, the mothership shattered into pieces, sending debris spiraling through space. Cheers erupted on the Valiant. "We did it! We did it!" Mark shouted, his heart racing with joy. The Zelthari fleet began to retreat, their forces scattered and defeated. But Commander Lewis knew the fight was not over. The Zelthari might regroup, and humanity had to be ready. "Prepare to track any escaping ships," he instructed his crew. "We cannot allow them to come back for a second attack." As the remaining Zelthari ships fled, the Dreadnought stood guard over the battlefield. The crew members took a moment to breathe, soaking in the weight of their victory. They had faced their fears and fought for their planet, and now they could finally celebrate. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. People gathered in streets and parks, cheering and celebrating. The world had united in this fight, and now they were free to breathe the air again, with the Zelthari threat pushed back. In the days that followed, humanity began the process of rebuilding. Dr. Chen and her team continued to develop advanced technologies to ensure that Earth would be better prepared for future threats. The Dreadnoughts that had once been mere blueprints now became symbols of hope, standing proudly as reminders of what humanity could achieve when they worked together. Commander Lewis was hailed as a hero, but he humbly shared the credit with his crew and allies. "We fought as one," he told reporters. "This victory belongs to everyone. We must stay united to protect our planet and our future." Mark found himself on a journey of his own. He returned home inspired by the experience. He began speaking at schools, sharing his story with children who had drawn pictures of the Dreadnoughts. He wanted to inspire the next generation to believe in themselves and their ability to make a difference. Meanwhile, the nations of Earth continued to collaborate, forming a united space defense force. Together, they established a new organization called the Earth Defense Coalition, EDC. The coalition would focus on protecting Earth from future threats, including the Zelthari and other potential dangers lurking in the vastness of space. One day, as the sun set on the horizon, Lewis stood on the deck of the Valiant, gazing out at the stars. The ship had become a home to many, a symbol of resilience and strength. He knew that the fight for peace and safety was ongoing, but they were ready. "Together we can achieve anything," he whispered to himself, filled with determination. This is just the beginning. As the EDC prepared for their next steps, the crew of the Dreadnought fleet knew they had forged a new path for humanity. They were no longer just defenders of Earth. They were explorers, united in their quest for knowledge and understanding among the stars. With the hope of a brighter future ahead, humanity took their first steps into a new beginning, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together they could overcome anything. The stars were no longer just distant lights. They were a new frontier, waiting for humanity to explore.